Let's explore common meditation mistakes that could ruin your mental peace. Tonight's lesson is drawn from the introduction to Avalokiteshvara's The Heart of Wisdom Sutra. But first I must futz about for a moment with that which functions as my side monitor. Okay, that's much better. A good-hearted fellow wrote, I was just wondering if there is a practice for releasing cortisol and adrenaline after a bout of anger or aggression. I'm going to stop right here to say that this fellow has full points for having a good heart and the intelligence to know to be able to rattle off the names of the hormones and neurotransmitters, I keep forgetting which those are, that are deeply involved in the experience of anger. So full points. I tend to have a hard time after an event that pushes my button with those. And contextually, those would refer to as cortisol and adrenaline. So he continues, I think endocrinological responses tend to last longer than the actual event. And he is 100% correct. That was explored very well in Clan of the Cave Bear, and I only know about Clan of the Cave Bear because I saw a video essay on it on YouTube here, and in it, one tribe is raided by another tribe. Now they successfully defend themselves against the raiders. These raiders were going to take no prisoners; they were going to rape and murder, and so some of the raiders were sent on their way, others were killed. I should say some retreated, others were killed. And in one scene where a young, lanky man succeeded in dispatching a raider, afterwards, these people had no words. At least in the movie, they had no words. And so he's just clearly traumatized. His breathing, he's erratic. His body language is rigid. He's staring off into space, horrified by what he had just done in the name of survival. Endocrines and neurotransmitters, I guess it would be endocrines, are really, really, really messy things. And they're sluggish. Electricity is so quick, but the chemicals involved in our central nervous system are slow and sluggish. And so the observation that our emotional sensations, our physical sensations that are unpleasant or draining and taxing last longer than the event is 100% on target. The good-hearted student continues. Maybe Buddha bowing, and he infers maybe Buddha bow as the exercise of Buddha bowing could help him work through what's going on. And so I'd like to jump in here. So there's nothing wrong with Buddha bowing. It's a delightful exercise. And it's much better than putting your fist to the wall or doing something that jeopardizes one's sobriety. But it could be problematic if we're using it to change what we feel. A rational surfer does not try to change the behavior of the sea. They merely surf the wave, harnessing the wave, but they cannot hope to control the wave. It is very similar with our emotions. In the wonderful book that serves as the foundation for Dzogchen, The Total Space of Vajra Sattva, Dorje Sampa Namkache, by Brahe Vajra, who is known as Garab Dorje in Tibet. He teaches that the importance of non-duality. Now, non-duality does not tell ourselves lies. We do not say, I'm so spiritual that I cannot tell the difference between dog dew and chocolate. Yes, you can. Don't lie. What it's saying is that we need to treat our emotions with non-duality. So as we sit in meditation, instead of getting lost in, oh, that's pretty or ugly, it's a sight. Well, that's melodious or discordant. No, it's a sound. That is pleasurable or painful. No, it's a sensation. That is delicious or disgusting. No, it's a taste. That is fragrant or foul. No, it's a scent. That emotion is painful or pleasurable. No, it's an emotion. That intention is malicious or kind. No, it's just an intention. That thought is wise or dull. No, it's just a thought. That memory is painful or pleasurable. No, it's a memory. That imagining, that figment of my imagination is pleasurable or painful. No, it's just an imagining. Now, we do not come to this through brute force. We do not come to this through logic. Trying to rely upon logic will exhaust your prefrontal cortex and create symptoms analogous to depression, and you don't want that. But when we treat whatever emotion we experience the same, whether it's pleasurable or painful, that's this key to functional non-duality. So when we treat pleasure as something to notice and then relax into, and we treat pain as something to notice and relax into, well, then we're treating the experiential duality non-dually. We could think of it this way. Every time we breathe in, we're noticing dualities. Every time we relax into our exhalation, we're experiencing their non-dual aspect. And you might say, well, dude, that could vacillate and oscillate as rapidly as a respiration. The answer is yes. Yes, it is. Duality is not a disease that you can be inoculated for. It's just what life is about. I've never met a one-winged bird fly gracefully through the sky. We need both that which we observe as we inhale and that which we experience as we exhale, the observations and the release. We need them both. And there's no philosophy involved in that. This isn't a question of, well, you won't know the pretty without the ugly. No, that's malarkey. That's just stupid white men trying to sound wise and failing horribly. No. Functional duality simply says, by applying the same solution to polar opposites, we viscerally learn that we do not need to pick and choose our emotions. Oh, no, but as a child, I saw a lot of TV, and I saw a lot of commercials, and I learned important things like the Colgate commercial on Captain Kangaroo told me that if you take a piece of chalk and you dip it in green liquid, and then you break it in half, you'll see a green ring around your piece of chalk, and somehow that means buy Colgate. And they told us with peanut butter that choosy moms choose Jif, and which infers if your mom doesn't buy Jif, she don't love you, and she's going to sell you to the gypsies. And of course, gypsies is an unfortunate term. I should have said to those who buy children, and I apologize. I mean no disrespect to the Romani people. So, now that I've stepped into it up to my knee, let's move forward. So, we're taught choosy moms choose Jeff. And we try to pick and choose our emotions. We are taught by armchair psychologists. We're taught by pop culture authors that we should mind blank or concentrate, and we should choose our emotions. If you don't choose your emotions, then you're a spiritual failure. But when we look at those who choose their emotions, we see they are rigid and miserable. I don't want to be that way. You probably don't either. That's probably why you've come to this live stream tonight. So if you want to do Buddha bowing because it's a fun exercise, great. That's why I do it. It's a fun exercise with that culturally I find sentimental. So the good-hearted person who wrote this letter continues, I'm reducing the duration of the after effects of their rage, but would still prefer to do better. So the very fact that they're making progress is laudable. That means they're moving in the right direction. Well done. The fact that they would still prefer to do better is also exquisite. Chef's kiss. Great that you want to do better. Now, all you need to do is take your effort and your enthusiasm, make subtle tweaks. When I was a little boy, my mother and stepfather and sister and I went to a local lake. My stepfather rented an aluminum boat with an outboard motor, and he sat me at the tiller and said, guide the bow between these two landmarks. When you find and then he elaborated, when you find yourself too close to one landmark, move it to the right. When you find too close to the other landmark, move it to the left. And my little experience was that navigating a boat by tiller in a lake by landmarks was an act of constant adjustment. So is everything else, including the spiritual path. So it's great that you want to do better, but what we feel is not a barometer of how well we're doing. How long we feel what we feel is not a barometer of how well we're doing. It's a barometer of a myriad of factors, our circumstances, our past, our physiology, our physiological strengths, our physiological weaknesses, what we had for our last meal, the last commercial we heard on the radio. There are 1,001 variables at play. Therefore, what we feel is not an indictment or an acquittal. The duration of what we feel, once again, is neither an indictment nor an acquittal. The good-hearted person who wrote me continued, maybe I should notice cortisol during inhalation and release during exhalation, and the same with adrenaline, notice and release. So, once again, your enthusiasm is beautiful. However, an acquaintance of mine in high school was taking a drafting class, and he shared with me advice from his teacher. Work smarter, not harder. And of course, the local stoner in the class said, yeah, dude, take a break. Doing his best Tommy Chong imitation. But, so it's not our job to precisely label the minutia of each chemical reaction occurring in our body. One of the most powerful things we can do spiritually is the strategic use of vagary, which is why my favorite pronoun for mindfulness is the demonstrative pronoun this. It's completely neutral. It's neither throwing shade nor praise. It's neither throwing fear nor hope. It's neither shoving nor reaching. It's simply this. So there's a lie that we've all been taught that if we are more precise, we'll get better results. If we just try harder, we'll get better results. Sometimes trying harder will get you further from your goal. One of the lessons we learn from the 81 poems of the Tao Te Ching is that we might gain knowledge every day, but wisdom is acquired by letting go of our preconceptions every day. So upon this path of meditation, this path of wisdom, it is far more important to use a strategic vagary than enthusiastic precision. Science is awesome. It's given us many tools. It's not a body of knowledge as much as a system of working with the known and the unknown and the interplay between the two. So the scientific method is a delight, and it's all about precision and that one might replicate one's findings. Hopefully, that's part of the peer review process. However, that falls down with meditation. Don't make the mistake that I did in my enthusiastic but misguided youth. I thought I was practicing mindfulness, but I was really practicing very, very quick concentration, putting very, very exacting labels on fleeting emotions or fleeting sensations or fleeting phenomena. And I thought that made me really, really spiritual. But what it did is it made me really, really exhausted and cranky. There's power in vagary. So I've said it about 19 or 20 times, so I'll calm down. I'll stop beating my dead horse. Let's move on. I was trying to figure out how to turn that energy towards my heart, but to no avail. This is where the good-hearted gentleman's note ends. And I'm grateful he was unsuccessful in his efforts, because doing that would have been harmful. One of the mistaken lessons we can learn from energy work, whether we call it pranayama, whether we call it qigong or qigong, whether we call it lunggung, whether we call it anu yoga, whether we call it completion stage, whether we call it tikle. What the mistaken lesson, the wrong lesson we can learn from energy work is to say, I want to make a change in my psychophysical experience, therefore I'm going to do something with this energy, and that should fix it. But that is not effortlessness. It's effortful. That is not practicing non-duality. It's practicing duality. That's not practicing centered spontaneity. That's practicing contrivance. That's not practicing vulnerability. It's exercising our controlling tendencies in a self-protective way. Imagining, if you will, the sharp prow of a ship that can be very effective at navigating the sometimes unforgivable waters of the ocean. And sometimes we try to do that with our energy, literally or metaphorically. But plowing through our emotions does more harm than good. When it comes to our controlling tendencies, I'm reminded of a wonderful Missouri joke, a show me joke. Tell me if you've heard this one before. You show me a self-made man, I'll show you the Frankenstein monster. Yes, my fellow geeks, I understand that falls apart upon closer examination, but it makes a good punchline. Would you not agree? Would you not concur? Consider, if you will, the wonderful scene from the first Matrix movie, more than 30 years in the past, more than 20 years in the past, where a young boy, shave-headed, holds a spoon, and he says to Neo, our protagonist, do not try to bend the spoon. That would be impossible. Only try to realize the truth. The truth? There is no spoon. And then you will see it is only your mind that bends. Now, that boy was speaking metaphorically. It only works metaphorically. But the part of that statement we're going to explore is this: do not try to bend the spoon. That would be impossible. I never surfed. The closest I came was riding a boogie board, or more accurately, being dragged by a boogie board. um, but I hung out at summer camp with some people who surfed, and I would look at surfing magazines with them. And I saw photographs of people riding huge waves, 25-foot waves. And there is no way a little human, a mangy monkey, that is our species, can control the ocean, no less a wave. But we can surf the wave that presents itself to us. Similarly, it is folly to think that you or I or anybody else can successfully and sustainably and therapeutically pick and choose their emotions. But we can notice what we're experiencing, the dynamism of the present moment, how it affects us physically and mentally. We can notice it as we breathe in. We can relax as we breathe out. And when we're in the ocean, holding on to our boogie board, and a wave or a swell passes us by, it lifts us up and drops us down into the trough that follows it, and then returns us to what I like to call vertical equilibrium, where we were before the swell passed. Similarly, over the span of moments or minutes or hours, emotions come, emotions go, we can ride them out. The goal of the path is not to control the ocean or the emotion or the body, but to surf it. Doggies and dolphins might share a common ancestor. Doggies and dolphins are masters of the art of fun. Dolphins have been seen surfing. That's wild. Our life, according to Neil Gaiman, is like a conveyor belt that starts off wide and gets progressively narrower, I have trouble pronouncing this word, more and more narrow as it moves towards the ultimate destination of the grave. We're all going to the same place. Maybe not the same way, maybe not the same time, but we're all headed towards the grave. Some of us are learning the art of sustainably enjoying the ride. That's how we meditate, to sustainably surf reality. In the Heart Sutra it is written, let's chant. It is said that Guanji Yin Pusa and archetype of love and letting go, while moving in the deep peace of the perfect understanding of awareness and release, shed light on the five aggregates and found them equally empty. After this realization, she made peace with all pain, because of the way that our parasympathetic nervous system is wired. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during the previous inhalation could begin to feel as if it could begin to feel more and more, less and less graspable. How ungraspable? Well, if you enjoy figures of speech, it could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Well, that sounds lovely. It's rather poetic, but what's a real-world example of a non-graspable vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless day, which, although could be tantalizing to the eye, is most certainly intangible to the hand? So there you have it. I'm not sure if I chanted this bit. After this realization, she made peace with all pain. So the job is not to stop feeling pain and only feeling pleasure. Any idiot be me happy doing that until they get bored of it. The thing that separates the newbies from the masters is the ability to make peace with the presence of that which they do not like or the absence of that which they do like. They do not do that through affirmation. They do not do that through brute force. They do that by utilizing the fabulous tool of our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. The more we practice mindfulness and meditation for at least 5 minutes every 12 hours or so, the more we do this, the more our blood ceases to congest in the bottom of our skull's amygdala, the seat of anxiety and aggression. And the more the blood coalesces and at our anterior cingulate gyrus, the seat of empathy. It has been taught that the highest empathy is spontaneous and uncontrived. The more our choices and our utterances and our deeds flow from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity, the more amazing our life becomes. Sometimes, well, there's a wonderful piece of art found in many Buddhist, Tibetan Buddhist statues or tapestries depicting a thin man wearing only a thin cotton garment with long hair, his hand cocked behind his ear. And this position is described as Mila listening to the whispers of the Dharmakaya, which is delightfully metaphoric. The more, sometimes when we listen to centered spontaneity, especially when we find ourselves in a snit, we can feel the urge to write a letter. And of course, that reminds me of the delightful song by the Moody Blues that came out when I was probably still in diapers, known as Nights in White Satin. In it, there is a lovely line, letters I've written, never meaning to send. Sometimes when we're agitated and we not only have emotions, but we have ideas and words bouncing off of the interior of our skull, or so it feels. Sometimes centered spontaneity will direct us to write a letter, not to send it, not to email it, just to write it. And sometimes it helps us to organize our thoughts. Sometimes it helps us to make peace. Sometimes it doesn't. But the greatest tool we have to be happy and healthy is to listen to the whispers of our centered spontaneity. I do look forward to chanting and meditating with you after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent more than 8 hours a day every day studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Let us open our practice by reviewing the mantra's meaning. Let's chant. With whom we invoke the example of the Muni wise one, Muni wise one. Greatly wise one, go Muni, yea, of the Shakas, wishing enlightenment for all. The entirety of tonight's practice is about bringing the spontaneous play of mind into the path of awareness and letting go. It is known by many names, such as Dzogchen's Great Completion Stage, Sutra Mahamudra, Ati Yoga, and Treksha, which translates into English as slice through. The basic method is as simple as it is effective. As we breathe in, we can silently and mentally recite relaxing into the awareness of this. But what is this? This is whatever we perceive during our inhalation. Whether it is a sight or a sound or a sensation or a flavor or a scent or the like. Whether it is an emotion or an intention or a thought or a memory or an imagining, whether it pertains to the external or the internal or the physical or the mental or the pleasurable or the painful or the interesting or the boring or the glorious or the grotesque. As we chant this 12-syllable mantra, we do our best to relax Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa 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 Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa. As children, odds are the first bicycle we received came with training wheels, which, although were clunky, got the job done. Similarly, this evening's first meditation is somewhat ungainly. How are we going to practice sati passaddhi? Simple. During each inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. And during each exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa. 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 Let us remove the first of two metaphoric training wheels, thus reducing the length of our contemplative exercise from 12 syllables per breath down to just 3. How will we practice Chan's mindfulness and meditation, the 7 and 8 folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path? Simple. We can start by doing it physically. We can use the physical as the gateway to the mental. As we inhale, we can silently and mentally recite sitting tall, thus encouraging our body to generate a vertical traction between our tush and our head. And during our exhalation, we can silently and mentally recite relaxing. You'll find that as you sit tall, you become more vulnerable to the present moment, and as you relax, you will tend to release. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa. 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 How are we going to practice dhyana's mindfulness and meditation? Simple. As we inhale, we can silently and mentally recite, notice this. And as we exhale, we can silently and mentally recite, relaxing. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yeswa 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 Om Muni Muni Ma Muni 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 Yeswa. Let us remove the second of two metaphoric training wheels, reducing the length of our contemplative exercise from 3 syllables per breath down to just 1. Will we practice the great seal of mindfulness and meditation? Simple. As we inhale, we could silently and mentally recite that which I referred to in the opening lesson, the demonstrative pronoun this. And during each exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax. Now that we've reached contemplative cruising altitude, together as a team, let us meditate as transformatively as General Leia Organa on Ajahn class under the guidance of Luke Skywalker. Welcome to this evening's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. During our inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite, relaxing into the awareness of this. This is whatever seems to cartwheel across the stage of your mind. During our exhalation, we can silently and mentally relax as best we can into the recitation of this 12-syllable mantra. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Sawa 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 How are we going to practice mindfulness? As we inhale, we're going to silently and mentally recite this, and as we're going to practice meditation during our exhalation by silently and mentally reciting the one-syllable verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax. Having rested in Sutra Mahamudra, we return to mantra meditation. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Sawa 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 Let us relax into Proto-Zen. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Yesawa. Om Muni Muni Ma 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 Muni Yesawa. So right now, we're in pollen season, and the winds are blowing. And my mouth feels like it's full of dust, and my sinus is really hurt, and I've got postnasal drip. Now, I'm not telling you this to kvetch, but to simply say that as I breathe in and I recite, relaxing into the awareness of this, the psychiness of the present moment is coming to mind. And rather than fight it, I'm choosing to relax, to relax into it and surf it. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. 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 Let us relax into the great coalescence. Or better yet, let us rest in the great coalescence. That sounds better. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. 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 Let us rest in Mahasandhi. Mahasandhi is mindfulness and meditation. Excuse me. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa 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 Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa. Let us rest in great completion stage. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa 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 Let us rest in Dzogchen's great completion stage. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. 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 Let us rest in the utmost union of mindfulness and meditation. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. 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 Let us rest in Ati Yoga's uttermost union of mindfulness and meditation. Welcome to this evening's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. And during our in-breath, we can silently and mentally recite, relaxing into the awareness of this. And this is whatever occurs in the present moment. For instance, it's pollen seasons and the wind is blowing. So right now, my mouth feels like it's full of dust. My sinuses hurt. And I've got all these goobers going down the back of my throat. And I'm telling you this not to impress you, but to remind you that this can be glorious or this can be grotesque. It's whatever's occurring in the present moment. Our job is not to pick and choose what to notice. Our job is to be vulnerable, passive, visceral, and even random. As we exhale, we do our best to relax into this 12-syllable mantra. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. 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 How do we slice through the duality of hope and fear? Simple. As we inhale, we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. And as we exhale, we silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Eswa. 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 Let us rest and trek chose slice through the duality of hope and fear. Welcome to the remainder of this evening's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. During our inhalation, let's silently and mentally recite, relaxing into the awareness of this. During our exhalation, as we recite 4 repetitions of this 12-syllable mantra, let us relax as best we can. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Yesuwa. 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 How do we rest in trek shows, slice through the duality of hope and fear? Simple. As we inhale, we practice mindfulness. As silently and mentally we recite the demonstrative pronoun this. And during each exhalation, we practice meditation as easily as the silent and mental recitation of the 1-syllable verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Yesuwa. 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 Om Muni Muni Mahamuni 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 Yesuwa. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Yesowa. Welcome to this evening, to the remainder of this evening's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. As we inhale, we're going to silently and mentally recite, relaxing into the awareness of this. And this is whatever spontaneously comes up in the present moment. During our exhalation, we're going to do our best to physically relax into 4 recitations of this 12-syllable mantra. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Yesuwa. 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 Om Muni Muni Ma 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 Muni Yesuwa. Let us seal this practice with the love that wishes for the universal mastery of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. May all master letting go and love. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Yesuwa. 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 May all master kind communication, conduct, and commerce. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. 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 May all master the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. 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 If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10.5 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.